Okay, what is going on today? We just finished the first day of the round of 64. Uh, Specifically, we had the South and the Midwest brackets play today. Tons of big news, some pretty big upsets, as I'm sure most of you saw earlier. Today, we're simply going to be reviewing our picks, how they turned out, what happened, reviewing the news, catch you up on what you missed. My name is Chicago Karl. If you like what you saw here, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And feel free to follow us on Instagram at chicagocarl.yt. Follow me on Twitter. A lot of stuff goes down there at chicagocarl, no spaces. So without further ado, here we go. Coming in, the first game at the top of the South bracket, we have Baylor beating Hartford by a score of 79-55. Not much to really say there. Hartford was a 16 seed coming in, and Baylor really did dominate the Big 12. Masio Teague had a great game, I believe. He scored 22 points. They had a guard, too, that had a great game. I think he almost had a double-double. Exciting game to watch. Really not much to say. It was a classic 1/16 slaughter. You can tell Baylor just really overpowered Hartford, and they just looked like they were in a different league. Hartford is just such a worse team compared to Baylor. Coming in, this was a great game to watch. Second game in the South bracket, we saw number 8 North Carolina lose to number 9 Wisconsin 62-85. Good old-fashioned ACC versus some Big Ten. Wisconsin, my man Big Cat's favorite team, pulled out today. One of the best performances they've had all season, and it couldn't have come at a better time. If you watch this game, Wisconsin's ball movement was fluid around the perimeter. They were passing to guys were making shots, they were good in transition. They just wanted it more than North Carolina. It was that simple. They overpowered them in every single aspect of the game. I actually had Wisconsin winning this game. I saw them play a lot in the Big Ten, and I recognized the potential they had. They're a good basketball team. Very good basketball team. As far as if I think that Wisconsin team can really put up a fight against Baylor, I don't think so. I think Wisconsin's going home in the round of 32. I mean, Baylor is just dominant. I think, legitimately, I might be one of the few people that really thinks this, but I think Baylor has a solid shot at making it to the Final Four. I think that's just a great team all around. Very good. So now we go to number 5 Villanova versus number 12 Winthrop, also in the South bracket. Not much to say here. It was a bit closer than I thought it would be, but Villanova this year is not as strong as they have been in years past. Winthrop, again, it was the same thing as Hartford. Just looked like such a smaller and just worse team, less coordinated. And that's really all I have to say about that one. We go to number 4 Purdue versus number 13 North Texas. Big upset here. This was a surprise to many people. I saw some brackets that had Purdue making it out of the South bracket. That's not what happened. Purdue played well in the Big Ten this year. Obviously, if they got a 4th seed. But North Texas, jeez. Purdue never really woke up. They were always sort of in the back end of this game, and it showed here. North Texas destroyed them, and the game went to OT, but the regular time, first and second half were not that close. North Texas looked like the better team. They legitimately did. Purdue never woke up. It was horrible. And North Texas faces Villanova in that second round. Honestly, I think we could see North Texas win there if they play as well as they did against Purdue. And if Villanova doesn't get it together, they only beat Winthrop by 10, and they should have beaten by more. So you heard it here first. We could see a North Texas win, but we'll be previewing that in a future video. Coming in again, just to wrap this up, we have number 6 Texas Tech. They beat number 11 Utah State 65-53. Mac McClung, I caught a bit of this game. Mac McClung looked great from what I saw. He was moving the ball. He looked good on the perimeter. Utah State, which is actually a very underrated team. They were a very fun team to watch this year. They just didn't put up that great of a match, and Texas Tech never really got a huge lead. It was a decently close game the entire time, but Texas Tech pulled away. That's just all I gotta say. This was scary. We have number 3 Arkansas, number 14 Colgate. Colgate was trending on Twitter today because Colgate was beating Arkansas at one point by what I believe. I think it was 16 points at one point. Crazy. But Arkansas narrowly escapes with the win. They were asleep in the first half. More asleep than Purdue. And it was not the Arkansas team that people were used to seeing dominate the SEC this year. But regardless, they get the win 85-68. And they're going to go on to face Texas Tech in that second round. And if Arkansas does not wake up to start, they're not going to come back and beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a much better team than Colgate. And if Arkansas doesn't wake up to start, you can kiss them goodbye. Texas Tech's going to get a Sweet 16 berth, and they're going to sweep past Arkansas. All right, and we have number 7 Florida versus number 10 Virginia Tech. This was a great game. It was actually the first game of the round 64. Florida wins 75-70 in overtime. Virginia Tech looked good in this game. Florida looked good in this game. Both teams looked good in this game. And I predicted on Twitter that Florida was going to narrowly escape, and I was correct. That 75-70 tally, I know that's 5 points. It was neck and neck the whole time. Both of these teams were outstanding. Great game of basketball to watch. It was a treat to have this open up the tournament. And, Florida gets past them, goes to the second round. Not much else to really say. It's just Virginia Tech could have easily have won that game, but Florida was just the better team overall, I think. They played against better competition, I'd say, throughout the year, and it showed here. And to close out the South, we have number 2 Ohio State taking a loss to number 15 Oral Roberts in overtime, 72-75. Ohio State was picked to win the South by a lot of people. I think they had the highest, from what I've seen, I've seen more Ohio State than Baylor making out, but that's not what happened here. Ohio State looked horrible. Horrible. Oral Roberts looked great, on the other hand. Oral Roberts, out of the Summit League, played out of their mind. I mean, every single half, every single drive, Oral Roberts looked like they wanted it more, and I think it's hilarious that Oral, Colgate, and Morehead are all in the same tournament. That's hysterical to me. But they narrowly defeat Ohio State, 75-72. It was an insane game. It really went down to the wire. Disappointing for Ohio State and disappointing for Purdue. A lot of people really challenging the Big Ten's legitimacy today, as we saw 2 pretty early exits. And it's tough, but I don't know. I guess we're just going to see. And in the second round, just forgot to mention, we're going to see Florida and Oral Roberts. I don't think Oral Roberts pulls it off. I'm going to be honest. That Florida team is dangerous when they're hot. And they're hot. And I'm taking Florida in that game. Okay, made it to the Midwest. First game, we got number 1 Illinois versus number 16 Drexel. Kofi Coburn is on the cover of this video. And if you watched any Illinois games, you know that team is insanely good. They smacked Drexel 78-49, and this was a casual 1 versus 16 game. Illinois was the far and away better team compared to Drexel. It really was not close. I had a good game. Kofi had a good game. Cordello had a good game. It was a good team effort by Illinois, and they didn't even really need to pile it on like that. But they smacked Drexel. And Drexel, I mean, credits to them. This was their first tournament, I think, since '98. And they played decently well for playing Illinois. I mean, I think Illinois is the best team in this tournament. I think they're going to win the tournament. They're a great team. But there we go. Just got started. Number 8 versus number 9 here. We got Loyola Chicago versus Georgia Tech. Loyola Chicago from the Valley beating Georgia Tech by 11 points. Great game from Krutwig and the supporting cast he has around him. Sister Jean was in attendance. Obviously, Loyola can't lose with Sister Jean. I mean, come on. We saw what happened a couple of years back, and it stayed true here. They beat Georgia Tech, deservedly so. They have a good team this year, and they face Illinois in that second round. Listen, the power of Sister Jean may come down against me here, but I think Illinois destroys Loyola. I'm sorry. I just think they do. I think Illinois is just... they are a much more professional-looking team compared to Loyola. And I think it's going to hold true with that second round. So I think Illinois gets past Loyola in the second round matchup. Here we go. Another episode alert. There were a ton today. We've got number 5 Tennessee losing to number 12 Oregon State 70-56. Tennessee looked horrible here. And I forget who it was. Someone on White Sox Twitter I saw had Tennessee making out of the Midwest. That's stupid. They weren't going to beat Illinois, but they had that, and they got proven wrong. Tennessee didn't make it out of the first round. Oregon State, not a great basketball team. I'm sorry. I know there's going to be a couple of West Coast people who might get upset with that statement, but they're not great. Tennessee is a better team, and they just played horribly today. Oregon State embarrassed them. And that's all I gotta say. It's a bit unfortunate, but they wanted it more and they got the win. This was a similar situation, I think, to the Oral Roberts and Ohio State game. It's just what happened. And right here we got number 4 Oklahoma State versus number 13 Liberty. Oklahoma State takes a casual win, 69-60. I'm not too alarmed with this because I think Liberty is honestly a pretty good team for a 13th seed. I legitimately think they do. I think they are. Their season's over, so they were, I guess. But they put up a good fight. This game, Oklahoma State never really blew Liberty out. They were decently close, especially for being this far apart. And, I mean, props to Liberty for hanging in there like this. But Oklahoma State moves on. They play Oregon State in the second round. I'm not going to talk about this too much. I think Oklahoma State blows Oregon State out of the water. Just destroys them. Okay, number 5, San Diego State versus number 11, Syracuse. We've got another upset. We're cruising with this. Syracuse wins 78-62. They win by a 16-point score. I watched some of this. I know San Diego State went on that run earlier in the year in, I believe it was December, but in November, where they won, it was like 11, 12, 13 straight. Crazy. But Kawhi's alma mater could not beat Syracuse and Jim Boeheim. It was really not that close. Syracuse, I believe, had a lead of over 20 at points in this game, and they held through. Cuse has a good team, and I think they're pretty good for being an 11th seed. I really think they are. And they advance. And so we have number 3, West Virginia, playing number 14, arguably the funniest name in college basketball, Morehead State. WVU takes care of them, 84-67. They win by 17. Not much to say here. Morehead State making it out of the Valley, Ohio Valley that is, not the Missouri Valley. But, West Virginia took care of business. They're a good basketball team. It's that simple. They played well in the Big 12. I think they're good enough to fight with Baylor. I mean, you saw it in the regular season. It was a good matchup. And West Virginia makes it to the second round. We see West Virginia and Syracuse. Even though I think Syracuse is a good team for the 11th seed, they got unfortunate here. I think West Virginia just destroys Syracuse. Sorry, I said it, but I think West Virginia easily moves on. Almost done here. We got number 7, Clemson, playing number 10, Rutgers. So we got a good old-fashioned, another ACC Big Ten matchup here. Rutgers wins 60-56. Now, I forget which podcast it was specifically, but I do remember some analyst talking about how he thinks Rutgers is, like, far and away just such a good team for a 10 seed. And I got to agree, this Rutgers team looked way better than a 10 seed. They looked like a legitimate 6 or 7 seed. They played well. That if you were to tell me before this game that Rutgers and Clemson seeds were switched, I would have believed you. Clemson played well too. I'm not going to diminish this. It was a bit of a more defensive game. Not a whole lot of scoring, as you can see there. But regardless, Butler put up a good fight. Clemson put up a good fight. Both of these teams, I think, are quality teams that have a good shot of advancing. Had a good shot of advancing. And Rutgers just got it done. And there you go. They go on to the second round. And finally, we have number 2, Houston, playing against probably the worst team, excluding the playing games, in the round of 64, Cleveland State. I'm sorry, Cleveland State, the winner of the Horizon League, should not have been in March Madness. I know they've got to give it to someone, but come on, like, Houston, which I think is not a great team for being a 2 seed, blew them out of the water, 56-87. That is a 31-point win. Cleveland State looked lost. They're not a great team. They're just not. I think some of the better Division II teams in college basketball would beat Cleveland State, and I'm being honest. Cleveland State barely won a ton of games this year, and they didn't have a great record, and it showed. No one's surprised. Houston easily moves on, just wipes them destroys them. Houston plays Rutgers in the second round. Houston takes that one. Not too hard. Houston's going to destroy Rutgers. And it's sad because there goes down another Big Ten team, but Houston's going to move on, and I think Houston's going to meet up with West Virginia in a Sweet 16 matchup. That will be a great game. So, just to conclude, we have Baylor and Wisconsin moving on. I picked Baylor to win that game in the round of 32. We have Nova and North Texas moving on. I think that can go either way, but I'm thinking North Texas in that one, truthfully. We have Texas Tech and Arkansas moving on. I'm gonna go with Texas Tech in that game, in that second round. That's who I think's gonna win that round of 32. We've got Florida and Oral Roberts making it out. I think Florida wins this game. I think Oral Roberts is just gonna run out of gas, and the dream's over. It shouldn't have ever been started, but Ohio State just choked. And then again, just when we go down to the Midwest, we have Illinois making it out. They're going to play Loyola in the second round. This is going to be an Illinois dub, in my opinion. Sister Jean, please don't come for me. We're going to have Oregon State and Oklahoma State move on and play each other. The battle of the orange teams with state in their name. I got to give this one to Oklahoma State. They're far and away the better team. They have an All-American on their roster. Oregon State does not. Second round, we're going to have Cuse versus West Virginia. They both made it out. West Virginia takes this win, even though I think Cuse is a very undervalued team for their pick. And we're going to have Rutgers and Houston in that second round, the round of 32. I'm taking Houston. I think Houston's just going to blow out Rutgers. And so there you go. So that is the first round, first day recap of the first round of the college basketball tournament. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. Make sure to check out our Instagram and our Twitter, which should be linked on our page. And have a nice day. Continue to watch the tournament and let me know what you think.